Hey everyone, today's lesson is on dividing rational numbers. This lesson is going to specifically be on dividing decimals. The last lesson we did was on dividing fractions, so today we're just going to do dividing decimals. To start off, we're going to have some vocab, then we're going to have some steps for dividing decimals, and then we're going to have two examples to go along with it. So let's get started with the vocab. The first vocab is quotient, and this is a review from last one, but the quotient is the answer to a division problem. So whenever we are solving a division problem, the solution or the answer is mathematically called a quotient. Then we have divisor, and that is the number that divides into another number. And then we have the dividend, and that is the number being divided. So, for an example, if I have, let's say we have 390 divided by 15, and that equals 26. We have the quotient of this problem here is 26, because that is the solution or the answer. We have the divisor, which is the number that divides into another number. So we are dividing 15 into 390, so that's the divisor. And then we have the dividend, which is the number that is being divided, and that would be the 390. Now we have place value. And we've gone over place value before in class, but it's important to go over it again when we are dividing decimals. And it's a value represented a digit in a number on the basis of its position in the number. So here is our place value chart. So we have whole numbers on this side, then the decimal point, and then the decimal part over here. And we're going to be moving the decimal point around in our decimals today when we're doing division to make whole numbers. So we're going to be moving the decimals over in the tenths, hundredths, thousandths, and 10,000ths place. We won't go as far as this, but we will go at least 3. So pause the video here and write down place value in your notes. You already should have the other 3 from the last video. All right, now for the steps for dividing fractions, we have 4 steps that we're going to go over today. So the first step is to set up the problem as a long division problem. So that's where we have our long division sign, and then we have to write our numbers in the problem. So we would have the divisor that goes in, which is inside, so like this. Or sorry, the dividend. Man, I can't type on here. Holy cow. Without it moving my... So the divisor goes in, or the dividend goes inside. And the divisor goes outside. Sorry, I'm writing with my mouse. So when you set it up, you have to make sure that the dividend is inside the long division and the divisor is outside the long division. And then we need to move the decimal points. So we need to move the decimal point in the divisor to make it a whole number, move the decimal in the dividend the same amount. So normally, if we have a decimal number here, we might move it over one spot to make it a whole number. And if we move it one spot in the divisor, then we would have to move it one spot in the dividend. If we move it two spots in the divisor, then we have to move it two spots in the dividend, and so on and so on. So we have to make sure that we move them the same amount on both sides. And then we have to divide. So we're just going to perform our long division as we normally would if you were solving to create a decimal. So that means that at the end of the problem, if we are left with a remainder, that means that we just have to add the decimal point and more zeros at the end until we are left with a 0 all the way at the bottom and we have no remainder left. And then the last step is to check your answer. So we want to make sure that it's correctly labeled positive or negative by using our division rules that we learned in our last chapter. And then we want to check to make sure that we moved the decimal up. So if we did move a decimal down here, we need to make sure that it goes directly above it in our solution or in our quotient. So please pause the video here and write that in your notes. And then we will move into some examples. All right, so we have two examples that we're going to do today. The first example is up here on the top. It's 6.3 divided by 0.25. So 6 3/10 divided by 0 25 hundredths. So the 6.3 needs to go inside, and the 0.25 needs to go on the outside. And then I have to move my decimal point. So for this one, I need to move my decimal point 2 spots over. So my decimal point would be here. We don't have to actually write it. But now this number is 25. And if I move it 2 spots in this one, I have to move it 2 spots in this one. So I'd move it once, twice, and my decimal would go here. But then I need to fill in this empty spot, and the number that I fill in that empty spot with is a 0. So now I just have 630 divided by 25. The decimal point, again, would be right here and right here. So now I'm just going to solve this like a normal division problem. So does 25 go into 6? No, 25 is bigger than 6. Does 25 go into 63? And yes, it does. And I can just count by my 25s to figure that out. So 25 times 1 is 25. 25 times 2 is 50. And 25 times 3 is 75. And 75 is bigger than 63. So I can't do times 3, but I can do times 2. So 25 times 2 gives me 50. And then I need to subtract 63 minus 50, which gives me 13. Now I need to bring down the 0. And I need to figure out how many times does 25 go into 130. And I know 25 times 4 is 100, because if I'm thinking quarters. And then if I add one more 25, that'd be 125. If I add another 25, that'd be 150. So that I can't do 150, so it has to be 25 times 5. And 25 times 5, I said, was 125. I have to subtract. And 130 minus 125 gives me 5. Now, since I still have a remainder, that's where I had to add my decimal point and a 0. And bring down the 0. So I have 50. And does 25 go into 50? And yes, it does. We know 25 times 2 equals 50. So now I have to subtract 50 minus 50, which gives me finally a 0, which means I am finished. But now I have to bring my decimal point up. So from here, it goes up. And then my answer would be 25.2. I don't need to put the 0 in here. So 6.3 divided by 0.25 equals 25.2. Again, when you're doing this in your notebooks, make sure that you circle your answer at the end so it's easy to find. So you can pause the video here and write this in your notes. And we will get moving on to the next one. All right, the next one is 38 and 22 hundredths divided by 3 and 9 tenths. So again, my dividend 38.22 goes inside. My divisor 3.9 goes on the outside. Then I need to move my decimal point. So for this one, I'm moving my decimal point 1 spot to the right, which then gives me 39. And then if I move it 1 spot to the right in the divisor, I need to move it 1 spot to the right in my dividend. So it looks like that. And I apologize for it moving a little bit more than normal. I was having a hard time formatting this one. So now I have 382.2 divided by 39. So now I need to do my division. So does 39 go into 3? No, it's too big. Move on to the next one. Does 39 go into 38? 39 is bigger, so it does not go into that. So then I'm left with, does 39 go into 382, which of course it does. And I know 39 times 10 equals 390, which is very, very close. So I'm going to guess that it's going to be 39 times 9. So I need to solve that first. So 39 times 9. 9 times 9 is 81. 9 times 3 is 27. Plus 8 is 35. And 39 is not bigger than 382, so that means that I could put it in my answer. And we know 39 times 9 equals 351 because we just solved it. And now I have to subtract. So 2 minus 1 is 1. 8 minus 5 is 3. 3 minus 3 is 0. So I have 31. 39 does not go into 31, so I need to bring down my 2. And I need to know how many times does 39 go into 312. So we know 39 times 9 is 351, so it's going to be somewhere close to that. So I'm going to guess that it's 1 less than 9. I'm going to do that one over here. So 39 times 8. And 8 times 9 is 72. 8 times 3 is 24, plus 7 is 31, and that's perfect. So I know that my next number up here is going to be 8. And 39 times 8 is 312. I can subtract that, and I get 0. So now I need to make sure that I check my answer. Is it positive or negative? And it's going to stay positive. I need to move my decimal point from the bottom right here and move it up to the top right there. So my quotient or solution to the problem of 38.22 divided by 3.9 equals 9.8. So please pause the video here and write this problem in your notes. And then for your assignment today, you have 4 problems to do. You need to make sure that you write them in your notes and show your work that what you're solving, and make sure that you circle your answer on the top so I know what your answers are and where they are. If you notice this problem here, we already did in our notes, so you can just move that one over to your homework page, and then you actually just have 4 problems to solve, and then you're going to take a picture of it and send it to me on Schoology under the assignment page. And if you have any questions, make sure you send me a message or email me, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So good luck with the assignment, and I'll see you guys soon.